Lanmar Services is a architecture firm that specializes in scanning buildings and turning them into computer models for other architects and engineers. Lanmar works with the largest architecture and engineering firms in the world, and on some of the biggest buildings there are. We've worked at the New World Trade Center, we've worked on the Rose Bowl, a dozen different stadiums, hospitals, and famous skyscrapers such as Sears Tower, Empire State Building, and Rockefeller Center. We're using the latest in technologies from Leica and Faro and the other 3D scanning technologies, and we're running around capturing gigantic buildings and turning them into computer models, and for that it creates a huge data set.
Ginormous files.
Of point clouds, and these point clouds have to be broken down into geometry, and for that it takes an incredibly strong computer, the latest that we can get. On site we're scanning these buildings, and the scanners are firing out millions of points of light which become measurements that are captured in XYZ format. So we then bring those point clouds back and bring them into Revit or another BIM package and begin to model over those point clouds and use those point clouds in order to get the dimensions that we need in order to create a highly technical model.
Highly technical.
And that's how we are able to create some of these very complex systems of the architecture, structural, MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and civil. Everything you'd want to know about buildings. And all that data is compiled and then pushed across in order to give us the graphics that we need in order to, create these very complex computer models.
So I'm going to give you a bit of an idea of the kind of work that we do at Lanmar Services. What I have pulled up on the monitor right now is a point cloud of a project that we're currently working on. So as you can see, it's a little difficult to read for a person that has never worked with a point cloud, but essentially what it is a giant mass of XYZ coordinates, so the points, and from that we're able to create a very detailed model of the project, because it's a very accurate way of doing surveying. So it has about a 1/4 inch accuracy, and so what my job is to take something like this and to turn it into something like this. So creating all sorts of curtain wall systems for this particular project. This is just the roof of this project that we're working on right now, but eventually it'll be the entire building. And so what we do is model everything from exterior details to interior elements. We go from everything, including structure, to like trim on a wall. So it's a very precise way of creating a model of a building, but because there's so much information that we're putting into the model, we do need incredibly powerful computers, and not just for the geometry, but also for the point clouds. So for example, a project like this, in the end, we're gonna have over 400 gigs of point clouds loaded into a model like this to get all the detail that we need.
Boxx provides us a super stable system that is reliable and has the power, especially with its overclocked CPUs, that can manage these large data sets that we're having to push around. We're talking about gigs to terabytes, hundreds of gigs to terabytes of information.
This is a sled at the NASA Langley campus, and they use this sled to test space shuttle landing gear and to also test different asphalts for the runways that they use for the space shuttle. The reason why point clouds are good for this type of complex system is that these supports go up very far into the air. This sled is a very large sled. It's about 40 feet long and about 20 feet wide, and goes about 25 feet in the air. This is all modeled off of a point cloud, and the point clouds captured all of this complex structure, and this is as accurate as a point cloud can be. It allows us to see without having to crawl around the sled or to take millions of pictures. It allows us to see this complex geometry that we can model, and allows us to be more accurate with our modeling as a result of that.
I remember being at school and hearing about these supercomputers that ran all these crazy programs that I could have never imagined working on, and being at Lanmar Services, I'm actually able to learn more about these programs and be working on some of the best computers. Boxx was my dream computer when I was in school, and now that I'm working on one, it's true, it's the best computer I've ever worked on. I love it.
So Lanmar Services depends on Boxx computers to help us build the latest in technology that can help us with our huge data sets and our technical modeling. Their computers are prime for finding the bottlenecks in technology that will really optimize and make the fastest computers that we can get our hands on.